Welcome back to Doing Football. Another day, another week recapping the NFL. Week 12 in the books, getting ready for week 13. We'll cover a ton of different things today. Our stat lines, as I usually do, waiver wire stuff, injuries. I found this week I wanted to make sure we made a point of covering some of the injuries on the week, because I think that's really important for some of you getting ready for week 13. I want to start as well with some stuff about the Browns, what we saw most recently, which will be Sunday night. Coach of the Year talk, a bunch of different things. So let's get into it. Starting with my stat lines of the week, starting with a wide receiver that scored 20.3 PPR fantasy points this week on one catch for 12 yards. Fellas, I think you know who it is.
Yeah, Debo.
I am absolutely amazed at the way that Kyle Shanahan has changed this offense over the last few weeks. We knew he loved to run the ball, but Debo just, I don't know what his routes run were. I could probably take a look at this as we talk about it, but his involvement in just in getting the ball on outside runs is fantastic. He's turning all of them into big plays.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm surprised they aren't giving him more carries just because of how good he is. Every single time he's making at least 7 yards, you'd think. So it's insane. He has the ability to make big plays everywhere on the field. I was so wrong on him this year. I didn't think he was going to be this good. And he's just an incredible all-around player.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like gadget plays either. It's not like candy-ass wildcat plays that often. So it's been very interesting to see.
For sure.
So looking at some of the snap counts for him, he ran 21 routes compared to
how many did Ayuk run?
Ayuk, who ran 26. So he's still out there running his routes, but his touches are coming in the rushing game, which is really, really interesting. Now, injury, so we'll see what happens moving forward, but I thought an interesting note from something that's been going on now for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The injury's not that serious, I think they said.
It's a growing injury, though. You never know.
It's something that could linger, but it's not going to be something that's season-ending.
Yeah, that's what I think. It'll be interesting to monitor this week. Quarterbacks, that's a big theme for my other two here. The quarterback position for this team went 10 of 31 for 179 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Which team do we think it is?
It's the Panthers.
I'm going to say the Panthers, too.
Yeah, it's the Panthers. Cam Newton.
Yeah, he went back 5 for 21.
Yeah, back to being a bum. I just love that PJ Walker came in and on the first play of the game, he threw an interception. Look, it's not a surprise here at all. I think we know what Cam Newton is at this point. He's certainly not someone that can make a play with his arm. Yeah. It's just not.
He threw that one to Robbie Anderson. It was maybe a 15-yard out, and he underthrew it by 3 yards.
Oh, I thought you were going to mention a different one where it was another one to Robbie Anderson that he put absolutely everything into and put it 7 feet over his head. It was a third down because red zone cut to it. I'm like, oh, is Cam about to make a play here, or is this going to be a pick? And it was neither. I think this is really interesting for the Panthers coaching situation because, Joe Brady comes in last year. The offense wasn't great with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, and everybody had a lot of great things to say about Joe Brady. I thought he was, coming from LSU, was going to have a lot of success in the NFL. And then now we go into this year, and they're bouncing between 3 quarterbacks. They're not getting great play from that position.
All of them awful, by the way.
Right, but how much can we? Of course, we're going to put it into the quality of play from those guys. But at the same time, if Brady is a really good play caller and a really good coach from the offensive side, I think he should have been able to move the needle with Sam Darnold this season. So I think it puts into question Matt Rule and Joe Brady as coaches at this level.
I don't disagree with that. It feels wrong to look at their quarterbacks these 2 years, right?
I can't blame them.
I see Pace and Nagy, those types of coaches, you're done with them. But you look at Mitch Trubisky, he could have been a guy that these guys took as well that maybe turned out into something as well. I don't think they've had talent at the quarterback
They
position.
haven't gotten right. I don't think they've gotten their guy yet. They haven't drafted a quarterback with either of them playing or coaching the team. Sam Darnold isn't a good quarterback. Cam Newton also not a good quarterback. They did fine with Teddy Bridgewater, but they need if they draft a quarterback and then that quarterback ends up shitting the bed, then I'd start to question them.
Yeah,
that it's maybe their fault. But I think they need their guy first.
I will say, Avery, just from the college football side of things, I do think that there's going to be people calling from college football to say, hey, Matt Rule, you want to come back? It's not working out. You want to come back? Same with Joe Brady, because there's some big openings in college football right now. And I think that that's an interesting thing for this team with their coaching staff because it just hasn't gone as well, I think, as I like Matt Rule. I think he's a great culture guy. I think he's a good guy to lead a team. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of talent in that room outside of the quarterback position. When you talk about Christian McCaffrey, talk about DJ Moore, I'm pretty sure Brian Burns has had a pretty good season. They spent some draft capital on the cornerback position. They also
Horn's been out too for a while.
Horn's been out, yeah. But they also have, which Jackson do they have? There's a billion Jacksons in the NFL right now.
Which team?
The Panthers on defense.
Dante.
Yeah, and then they also, did they not make the trade for Patriots?
Yeah,
Stephon Gilmore.
So like, there's a lot of talent on this team, I think, and I think they're underperforming, especially. We also didn't think they'd walk into the season with Cam donning the Panthers uniform again.
I think we've asked this before, but would you rather coach in the NFL or be a college coach?
Yeah, NFL. My life's easier in the NFL.
Yeah, I'd go NFL too. Yeah.
I think your job's just more solidified if you're in college too. If you can win 8-9 games a season, which is, if you're in the SEC,
Depends where you are, yeah.
it's different, but I think it's just maybe easier in college.
Yeah.
I would completely disagree with solidified though. I feel like your job's more solidified in the NFL. You get a minimum amount of time in the NFL. College can just off the rails.
You don't get a
immediately,
lifetime
you're done.
contract like you do in the NFL for these college guys,
Right.
as often.
Yeah.
I think with the NFL, you have a job that's secure, but where that job is and what it is could change every year.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like you could be a head coach, then get fired in 2 years, but then you'll at least be a coordinator somewhere.
Yeah. There's definitely
The old boys club.
Yeah, the old boys club of the NFL is for sure. Yeah. That's for sure the thing. Last one here for stat lines. This quarterback went 11 of 21 for 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and his team was trailing for 48 minutes out of 60 minutes in this game.
I think I know this one. Ryan Tannehill.
I was going to say Tannehill.
Yeah,
too.
Tannehill. I'll get into it later because I want us to talk fantasy-wise about the Titans running back room because it's very, very interesting with A.J. Brown now on IR.
Yep.
But the fact that this is the kind of numbers we saw in a game they were trailing for this long is certainly concerning. I'm thinking you have Ryan Tannehill. He's been a kind of a guy on the cusp of your rosters right now in fantasy. I think he's a very clear drop. Like you can let him go. You need to start streaming the position and you need to focus on matchups. And I don't even think Ryan Tannehill's a guy you can play in a good matchup because I think they'll be running the football. I think they'll be using their backs a lot because there's not a lot of talent in terms of pass catchers on this team when A.J. Brown's
brutal.
out.
Who would you rather have, Detroit pass catchers or Tennessee pass catchers?
Oh, Detroit right now.
Yeah.
100%.
I heard a stat, I don't know how true it is, that Vrabel has more receiving touchdowns than anyone on the active roster for the Titans right now.
Right now, that's good.
And he was a linebacker.
Yeah, I just think this is an issue for a team we've said before has one of the easiest schedules down the stretch, but they got to get healthy here for the playoff run. That's going to be really important for them because Tannehill just doesn't have the pure talent to overcome the deficiencies of his guys he's throwing the ball to.
Yeah, his success was based on how talented his receivers were.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew that, and we were fine with it as well. You can't be mad at that. He has good receivers. I'm going to take a quarterback who can get the good receivers the ball. Mm-hmm. So the health of his receivers hasn't been good this year, and he's decreased talent-wise, success-wise.
And losing Derrick Henry hurts as well because
it's play action. He found success from play action, the threat of a guy like Derrick Henry being able to run the ball so well. That's opened up the pass game for him.
So next year, Tannehill, I see him as a viable option again, probably. It's just this year's
hasn't gone right. No. I saw the Titans easily have the most or have had the most players on their active roster this season, and they were close to setting a record or something.
Really?
I can't remember how many it was,
okay.
but because of so many injuries, they've had a rotating door of players.
Jeez. Okay, moving forward from the stat lines of the week, I want to cover Sunday Night Football. I think this is really, really interesting. Baker Mayfield has been dealing with injury all season. The torn labrum. Yeah. I know he's dealing with a knee injury. You name it.
Heel injury too.
Who was on? It was Collinsworth and Tirico last night that were calling the game. Collinsworth maybe was saying it a bunch, just listing off the injuries, thinking how hilarious it was when he was saying it.
Big Ben style.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think from that standpoint, it's hard to judge what he's done this season and kind of make an assessment and say, here's where we're at as a team with Baker Mayfield. Is he the guy we can move forward with? Because he has not signed that extension yet that the team's been talking about for a while, correct?
No.
Correct.
So it's hard to make that assessment to make this extension, sign this extension, commit to him long term when he's playing through these injuries. You have to commend the guy for being out in the field and still playing for this team. But at the same time, it's hard to judge where he is. The Browns have scored 17 points in 7 of their last 9 games. This is I was surprised when I found this stat.
Brutal.
So how, what do you think of Baker moving forward for this team? Is he the right option for them in terms of not just this season, but moving forward? Because I think this is a Super Bowl type roster surrounding him. Maybe not pass catchers wise, but everywhere else.
Yeah.
So the Browns are fucked if he signs a big extension, I think.
Like something that really impacts their ability to.
Their nice little window was
re-sign everyone
now.
else.
We also saw Baker probably when he played his best football was last season into the playoffs, where to get them divisional game they lost to a backup quarterback on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So like Baker was very good in that playoff run, I thought, last year, but now it's been ugly too.
Again, it's the injuries. I think it's hard to judge him because of the injuries.
I don't know what to think. Like Baker, he seems overrated at this point, and like I don't think he deserves a massive contract, but he still feels like he's a starter-worthy quarterback somewhere, but just not in that tier of quarterbacks that can win a Super Bowl. Because like you still need to have at least a certain level of quarterback play to win a Super Bowl most of the time. The Broncos did win one with shitty Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
But
Broken down Peyton Manning.
but unless you've got like some insane defense or something, you're going to need a certain level of quarterback, and I don't think Baker fits that mold.
Yeah, I'm going to check into this right now, but you guys keep talking. I want to see if he has another year after this year. I think he does, right?
I was
2018 was his draft class. So he should have one more year.
Could
And he was a first round pick, so he is the tender.
Yeah, so here we are. So we're on he's got a contract in 2022 to play with.
Yeah.
So this is the conversation that you have as an organization of, do we make the investment on this guy in this down year he has? Of course, he's going to say, I dealt with this injury. I played through this injury. I should still get paid handsomely for it. And maybe you do pay him because at the end of the day, if he's the guy that you thought he was when you drafted him, you could be getting him at a really good discount. Because if he's healthy next year and he plays well and you don't sign him to an extension, then you're talking about money that, like you said, could really damage them the rest of the way.
Like what's a better option? No one in the draft probably is a better option the next 2 seasons.
Right, yeah.
Probably not.
I would agree. But there's
who do you
always
trade?
the
Who do you trade for? Like Russ or someone?
Rodgers, Deshaun Watson.
Those guys would certainly move the needle, but I mean, then you're hurting. These other organizations are going to want core pieces from your roster to theirs, right?
If
they
we're
get
saying
Baker,
if we're saying this is a Super Bowl roster without Baker, then you just give up picks. If you think your team's that good, you have no problem giving up a couple first, right?
Yeah. And Baker would be an interesting piece for another team to acquire. That's definitely a good point. That could be an interesting story for the offseason to talk about.
I mean, the Dolphins were looking for Deshaun Watson, and they were going to give up Tua, except I think he was going to go to Washington in a 3-team trade as part of the deal. So I don't even know if like the Texans would want somebody else's quarterback, if they would just wait until they can get one in the draft.
Yeah. You mean I get what you're saying. If the Texans were involved, they would just try to ship whoever it is off somewhere else and focus on the draft. Baker's young enough that I think any team especially like Seattle or Green Bay would definitely be like, okay, let's grab you. Let's see what you can do. What do you guys think though? Just the rest of the year, I think this team is going to probably struggle to make the playoffs just with his injury. I think it just really hurts them offensively.
Yeah,
I think
I can't disagree with that.
I mean, last night was brutal. The Ravens turned the ball over like 4 times.
Yeah.
I think that was I saw some ridiculous stat of, I think that the Ravens are 4-0 this season when Lamar Jackson throws 2 or more interceptions.
Yeah, Devin sent that to us today.
That's crazy.
The teams were 0-52 if their quarterback throws more than 4 picks in a game, I think.
Yeah.
The NFL in general is 0-52 up until last night.
And they you think about the Browns won the turnover battle 4-2, and then they also had more yards gained than Baltimore, and they still lost. Like I don't even know how that's possible because you think about the short fields that turnovers give you, right? Incredible. Okay, let's move on. I wanted to cover Frank Reich here and the Colts. I know they're coming off a loss here. I thought they played very, very well in this game. Besides, that huge mistake from Nyheim Hines on the punt. I think Frank Reich kind of deserves some Coach of the Year consideration. I know this team is 6-6; they're not in the playoff hunt. But let me just go through what he's put together this season. Carson Wentz is on pace for 30 touchdowns. This is the first time he's if he hits that, that's the first time he's able to do that since his MVP season in 2017. He's got a running back that might reach 2,000 all-purpose yards. He's just a little bit shy of it, but he's been playing so well in recent weeks that if he keeps up with the pace he's recently been on, maybe not quite that pace, so he can be a little bit less than that, then he could hit 2,000. I think he's on pace for 1,800 and something right now. He's got a defense that's 9th in total DVOA, so the defense is playing, I think, really, really well as well. The secondary, I think, is the part where it's a little bit worse, but of course, up front with a guy like Darius Leonard, I think they've looked really good defensively. Do you think that he deserves some Coach of the Year consideration?
I do. I think he has drastically improved Carson Wentz's ability to play football. Like he's just so much of a different player. Like that alone should be enough that he deserves a shot.
How so? I don't totally agree. Like,
you don't think Carson Wentz has been better this year than previous years?
Sure, but
it's like he's put the leash on the dog. Like it's
he only has 3
it's as if he had
interceptions.
like one of the the leash they give that
Carson
people
Wentz
have like extends as they walk.
Yeah.
He just had a 6-foot leash. He's not able to run anywhere. We've corralled Carson Wentz. He's taking care of the football. I thought he looked pretty. I know he had a couple interceptions. They were kind of a lot of those like jump ball type plays. I thought he played pretty well in a game that they had to rely on throwing the ball. Again, I'm talking about in a game they lost, so it's kind of weird saying it like that. But I think the job he's done with Carson Wentz is really, really good.
Or is it just Carson Wentz getting back to his old form? Like he's finally healthy.
But remember, Carson Wentz had his MVP season with Frank Reich, so
yeah, that's why I think that. That's why I think
Frank Reich just makes him better.
I think it's Bill Belichick's number one still.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know how Cliff Kingsbury's higher than Bill Belichick. I think.
for like
we're looking at Coach of the Year. Well, you guys can't just look at the TV, and we're not. So I've got the Coach of the Year odds up here. Cliff Kingsbury is the favorite at plus 400. Bill Belichick
for me.
plus 500. Mike Vrabel plus 600. Then we've got Staley, McCarthy, McVay, Taylor, LaFleur, McDermott, and then Frank Reich at plus 2,500. So Frank Reich is definitely way on the outside.
Yep.
I think he deserves consideration because I just think that, the Carson Wentz thing, I'm just very surprised at what he's done from the way Carson Wentz played in Philly.
It depends how he does these last few weeks of the season.
They definitely need to
if they can finish like
don't they have a
10-7,
too?
maybe win out, then
I don't know. They have the.
That's why you didn't like.
They have their
Taylor.
division, right?
yeah.
Their division is probably relatively easy. I don't know how many games they have left against their division, but
I know they played the Titans twice already, so they don't play the Titans, but they probably play both,
which is good.
the Jags and Texans.
Have they played the Jags twice?
They played them once for sure.
Yeah, I know they played them once for sure,
Like
and
2
the
weeks
Texans
ago.
once for sure. So they could have both of those teams left. But I think it's an interesting case because I know the team's 6-6, so it's nothing crazy. But I also just don't think anyone's really separated themselves. I mean, Bill Belichick might be on his way to doing that now.
Yeah, I think so.
Those odds that I showed you were before this week's game.
Their last 5 games are Texans, Patriots, Cardinals, Raiders, Jags.
So keep that in mind. This is a really good. I would make this investment on Frank Reich because he gets to play against the 2 guys that are favorites.
Yeah.
He plays Belichick. He plays Kingsbury. If he beats those 2 teams, then we're certainly talking about Coach of the Year type stuff. Now he could very easily just lose both those games, but I think it's worth the investment because of that.
I agree.
The Colts look like in that first half they looked like they could have beat anybody in the NFL. In the second half, they just went back to
a couple mistakes.
What they do.
Mistakes.
I do think Bill Belichick should have the best odds though at this point.
I bet if it was updated
he's done so
today.
well with that team, and he never really had any consideration for Coach of the Year with Brady because they just otherwise he'd win it every year. He's just the best coach every year. But now with Brady gone, people are actually going to consider him, and I think this is the year that he actually wins it.
Yeah, there's just in every sport there's fatigue. You never really want to vote the best guy, the true best guy every year.
LeBron should have won multiple.
Yeah, exactly.
MVPs.
It's like it's like probably McDavid over the next 8 years. He probably won't win enough.
Yeah.
What is it? The Hart? Yeah, Hart trophies. Next one here. I want to talk a bit about the Dolphins. I know this is a really outside shot here, but I mean, can the Dolphins make some sort of run now? They're 5-7. Tua is in the last, I think I looked the last 3 weeks. He has an 80% completion percentage and the 6th highest yards per attempt. So he's not only is he taking care of the ball and being very efficient, he's also not just checking the ball down on every single play. Jalen Waddle certainly helping with that. That is for sure. He's having a great run too. But the Dolphins, their final 5 weeks, they got the Giants and the Jets the next they have a bye mixed in here, Giants and Jets. So 2 good chances at wins to get to 7-7. Then they finish with the Saints, Titans, and Patriots. Who knows where the Saints are going to be at in 4 weeks from now, because their things are falling apart over there in New Orleans. I know we haven't even talked about Thanksgiving at all, but good Lord, that team was depleted and had a pretty poor showing on Thursday. And then, like I said, it's Titans and Patriots to finish. So what do you think about the Dolphins making some sort of run the rest of the way?
I don't mind it. Like, I think they get to 7-7, and then they could easily beat the Saints. Then they're 8-7, and then 2 games left in the year. They'll easily they'll be near the top of the what's it called? In the hunt.
Yeah.
They'll be near the
They'll
top.
be on
of
the
it.
graph.
They will, yes.
So they could easily make it in. But the Titans and Patriots is a tough final 2 games, but I think they have a shot. What if they actually win out and then you lose that bet that you had under 9.5 Dolphins win?
Oh my God.
Can
I
you
didn't
imagine?
even think of that.
That'd be the
Holy
worst
crap.
bet of all time. Or the worst beat.
Worst
Yeah,
beat of all
not
time.
bet.
They win the last 7 games of
Yeah.
the year from 3-7.
It would be the last 9. Weren't they 1-7?
Yeah.
Were they?
They've won 4 straight.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That would, we'd be
9-game
I'd be
winning
making
streak.
TikTok videos about that one, about how bad of a beat that is. But I think that the Dolphins are preying on some good turnover luck. I mean, you think about that Ravens game that they won. Think about this past week with did they block 2 punts or just 1? I think they might have blocked 2.
They blocked 1 and got a touchdown on it for sure.
Yeah. So the Dolphins are interesting.
That's how they made it last year, though, right? Was all the turnover luck. Tua, there is no one worse on Twitter than Dolphins fans who either on Tua's side or against Tua. I check like this one Twitter account that we run here, and it's all Dolphins fans all the time. No one is more like controversial person than Tua, and I think he should still be their quarterback. Look what he's done now when he's finally kind of healthy. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He definitely hasn't been given the opportunity of let's just watch him play. Let's not make judgments each and every week of what guy he is, because he's had like a year and a half to play football. It's crazy.
and most of
where
it's
we're
been
at with
injured.
this.
And he's looked good at times too.
Yeah.
It's not like any of the guys this year have kind of struggled the whole time.
I certainly don't want to crown him as a good NFL quarterback, because I'm not sure he is, but I still think he deserves some time and some opportunity.
Would you rather Tua or Baker Mayfield next year?
That's a tough question.
I think I see more upside with Tua, so yeah.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think right now Tua looks kind of like Teddy Bridgewater, but he has the opportunity to become far better than that.
I think he has arm talent. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tua would not be able to be they kind of, I was about to say about the mobility standpoint, but I don't think Tua is going to be very mobile either, just with the injuries he's dealt with in his career already. So yeah, but the arm talent's definitely better. The whole thing with a left-handed quarterback is also,
Ball spins a different way.
yeah, the ball spins a different way. The pass protection's different. I think a lot of coaches
Would stay away from that.
would stay away from it, especially as
Yeah.
like a backup. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
if they have to put this guy in partway through the year, then it changes a lot of things for them. Okay, let's go to Jalen Hurts, because we're covering a lot of quarterbacks today. Jalen Hurts, we had a bit of a reality check from what has been a really good run the last few weeks.
Heat check.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, heat check game. So I tweeted this from our Twitter account, our Doing Football Twitter account. I was really, really perplexed with what the Eagles were doing against the Giants this week. So through the last, I think I looked at the last 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, the Eagles have been running the ball on 65% of plays. In the first half, they had run the ball on 55% of plays, and they're playing the Giants, who are ranked 30th in the NFL in rushing DVOA defensively. So this is an obvious team to run the ball against. They're having plenty of success. I think I put it down there too. I think they're running the ball at 6.7 yards per carry through halftime. And they threw the ball on 11 of their first 16 plays. And Jalen Hurts had a terrible game. He was 14 to 31, 129 yards, 3 interceptions, one of which came on the 1 yard line before halftime, which was a really bad one, because you probably should have just walked away with 3 points and moved on. But again, just a reality check for Hurts. We can get into more stuff here. The other thing I wanted to mention and have you guys comment on.
The worst receiver of all time.
So bad.
So his 3 interceptions came throwing the ball to Reagor, Watkins, and Boston Scott. And Boston Scott had a fumble in this game too. So I'm kind of can't understand why we're not throwing the ball to our best players. Reagor and Watkins had more targets than Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert in this game too.
It made no sense. He's only throwing to Watkins and Reagor. Like, Watkins down the field all the time. And then Rieger at the end of the game, like if that was literally any other wide receiver,
They catch the
ball. But Rieger just sucks. It's terrible.
Again, I'm not putting it like. Why would I put this on the Eagles' third wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the turnovers that cost them the game.
First round receiver.
First
though.
round, yeah. Hey, we hit on one of the two.
before
last 2
Justin
years.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
So many memes about that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I had this conversation over the weekend about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. What do we think of his future? What do you think the team should be doing, considering all these draft picks that they're going to have this year?
I've been pleasantly surprised with his play this year.
Same.
And before going into the season, I was kind of like, sure, he can be a good fantasy quarterback. Jared convinced me. He's like, yeah, upside's there. I was like, sure, I agree with that. But I never thought they'd, like, confetti quarterbacks, right? The thing that Stephen Chase says. He's like, can you see this quarterback, confetti coming down and a Super Bowl in his hand? Jalen Hurts, I can't see that ever, right? Like, he just doesn't do enough to help them win all the time. Like, Lamar Jackson's skill set, Lamar Jackson's 100 times better than Jalen Hurts.
He's just a much better passer.
And I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. But you can see Lamar Jackson winning a Super Bowl. Like, Jalen Hurts isn't doing it for me. But the draft, like the quarterbacks in this draft, what is that? What needle is that going to move this year?
Yeah, I think that this team should make investments in the secondary. Maybe they grab another weapon. I think they're fine. I think Smith and Goddard are good. Maybe they spend up on a running back
or something.
Yeah, maybe they grab a guy like him on the outside. That's not a bad call there. But I do think they should spend their draft capital building up the defense, the linebacker group.
The O-line's been okay.
Yeah, the O-line's been really good. O-line's been really, really good. That's why they've been able to run the ball really well. Yeah. But the thing is that they got a few guys that are older. Peters, I think we said this did we talk about this last week? They had a couple. I can't remember who the other two are that I'm forgetting. But I think they work on surrounding him with some weapons, but more just building out the rest of the team. And I think they try to work with what they have in Hurts for a few years. I honestly feel like he's good enough that they could definitely be a playoff team and potentially compete in the AFC. I do agree with what you're saying, though, the confetti quarterback kind of deal. I'm not completely there, but I think we can say that about 20 quarterbacks in the NFL, right? So
I think about 10 teams have a chance to win a title, right?
I think it's just too early in his career to say that he can't do that. Like he in his first 14 starts, he had the same numbers as Lamar Jackson pretty much. So like it's not like he's been bad. He's still very young.
I mean, Lamar really hasn't done that much, like playoff-wise, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like Jalen Hurts has more passing yards, more passing touchdowns, same amount of interceptions, similar yards per attempt, similar QBR through 14 games. So this was a few weeks ago that this was a stat, but he's still so early in his career that I think he has the opportunity to improve and be a confetti quarterback, although he might not be right now.
Yeah.
I think he can be.
Yeah. Hey, I think he's fine. If he can just hold on to the ball when you don't see anything downfield, just run it like he usually does, he's going to be fine. Just take care of the ball.
Yeah. Run the ball.
He can be a good facilitator, like clock manager, that type of quarterback.
Yeah.
But don't be a hero with the arm.
Yeah, agreed. A couple more things, then we'll get to fantasy. I want to talk about roughing the passer because it's kind of bothered me. It's been around. The rule is what it is. Now I looked it up. I'm going to pull this up for you guys, but I can't really figure out. Apparently, there's 5 different definitions of roughing the passer. I think the defensive end position must be the most frustrating position in all of football because there's so much responsibility on the pass rusher when hitting the quarterback. So I'm just going to pull this up here now. Where is my mouse? They had, goddamn. There we go. They had the definition and they had it ruled in all different ways. So it's a pass catcher clearly should have known the ball had already left the passer's hands before contact was made. The other is intimidating, punishing acts such as stuffing a passer into the ground or wrestling him down. Basically, that whole like landing on top of them thing. Next is use the helmet or face mask. Obvious, like we know about that. And then the couple other ones, the clubbing of the arm of a passer. I guess that's more just like punching their arm. I guess they're saying that they're trying to hurt their arm, their throwing arm. And then the last one is forcibly hitting in the knee or in the knee area, which makes sense. But I think the first one that I mentioned is kind of the one to me that just kind of sticks out as like how can we really put a definition on this? Is saying that they should have known the ball had already left. I'm frustrated because I saw a hit from Clowney last night on Jackson that he kind of left his feet to throw it deep. I think it was that play the play to Andrews, right? Because didn't they get a penalty on that catch he had on the pass interference? Maybe just pass interference was called.
Yeah,
it could
I
be
don't
a
think there
different
was
play.
roughing the passer there.
But anyways, he hit him pretty much nearly right after, but because he left his feet, it looked like a really big hit. It definitely wasn't helmet or anything like that. And they called the penalty. And it just, how is this rule going to, I feel like this rule needs some adjustment and more definition moving forward.
I think with football, there's too much subjectivity. Like you could just easily argue either sides of any play.
Yeah.
So it is tough. I don't think there's any rule they can implement that will make it all objective. And I don't think they should make it all objective.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you could easily see some games where everything gets called and then another game where nothing gets called. So it's tough to really say they need to change something about the rule. But it's the same thing with pass interference for me. Like they tried fixing it and then didn't end up working, so they just went back to what it was with challenging it.
The NFL needs less rules and like less definitions of things. I understand it's hard for us as fans of the NFL to understand what's going on because it makes no sense, but I think we start adding more shit in, it's only going to get more wild every time.
Yeah.
Like it's the play where they just kind of like, they hit him hard, but they like hug him, and it's like, that's not roughing the passer at all. Like they just hit him really fucking hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you see a play where the ref sees a play where the quarterback gets thumped pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's roughing the passer because I don't think you should be able to hit the quarterback that hard kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And of course we should protect the quarterback. They're the most sellable point of the NFL in football. So it makes sense, but I don't know. It's just
other guys are trying to make a living here too, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Quarterback.
Like it's also stopping defensive players from maybe making the tackle they would because they think it's going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
They might slow down.
Like just imagine
not even hit them, and then the quarterback makes a move on them because of that.
Yeah. Think about from watching the game last night. I think about Clowney getting incredibly frustrated trying to tackle Lamar Jackson in the backfield because he had him dead to rights a couple times, and Lamar just makes one move and he's gone. And you just have to think about a guy like that who spends 40 snaps a game trying to get this guy, and he finally gets his chance, and it's like, oh, you hit him a little bit too late. That's a flag. Like I would lose my mind.
Yeah,
it would be so hard to go back out there. It just it got to bring the defense down so much. Adding that, a 15-yard penalty tacking it onto a play or taking away a big play that was made because of it. So it's crazy to think about a guy throws an interception and then after he actually let the ball go, someone hit him and then that takes away an interception. You know what I mean? Crazy.
So you talk about it, DN maybe being the most frustrating position in football. I think playing DB might be the hardest position in all of sports. How the fuck are you supposed to cover those guys without committing pass interference every time?
I swear to God, every time you're a DB and you make a good play on a ball, there's probably a fan screaming at their TV trying to like lift from their waist. Like, that's a flag. That has to be a flag.
Like you're dealing with some of the most athletic guys on earth and you're not allowed to touch them. You just have to run with them. You don't know which way they're going. They go left, they run into you. Oh, like maybe a holding.
Yeah.
And you aren't even allowed to make contact before the ball gets there. Like what if you could easily both be going for the ball, but you'll get penalized because you hit the guy before the ball got to him.
Yeah.
It has to be the hardest. My dad says it all the time. He's like, it has to be fucking impossible.
I mean, again, you talk about definition of roughing the passer. Like, what is the definition of defending someone as a corner? Like, I mean, you can get to the fundamentals of just following a guy and being tight with them, and then there's
NFL talent's going to catch the ball pretty much every time though, if you're just right with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, yeah, definitely the toughest position I can think of in sports for sure. Okay, a little fantasy stuff, I said.
Wait, before we get to that, let's do my a little stat game here.
All right.
I got a little stat game. Three stats. 3 players fall under each category. You guys can play along at home here. Some of these are kind of hard, so we'll see. If you can get all of them, you're an absolute sharp. First one here. There were 3 players last week who had 15 carries or more, yet averaged under 3 yards per carry. Who were they? And this is including Thursday night.
Fuck, it was the Saints running back.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Tony
Jones. Yep. He was one of them.
He had like the least fantasy points per carry ever, right?
Yeah, it was like 1.7
maybe
yards per
Did
carry.
Chubb get to 15 or no?
Yes, but he was over 3 yards per carry.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was brutal last night. Let me go
Saquon?
through the games
Nope.
here. Let me pull the games up in front of me.
I don't think he got to 15 carries.
I think he was over because he had that one long run.
Oh, true. He had a
You know,
third.
you know who wasn't under? Elijah Mitchell. Holy shit, that guy looked
Yep.
great. Was Najee?
Nope. Najee didn't make it.
Um,
One other one played on
no,
Thursday.
Boston Scott was over. One other one played on Thursday. Did Matt Breida get to 15?
No.
No.
We even talked about it while we were watching
Josh
the game.
Jacobs, no.
About how bad he's been playing.
Montgomery, Swift.
Oh, was it
Jamal Williams.
You just said his name.
Montgomery?
Yeah,
I was about
Montgomery
to
was
say.
one.
Oh, right.
Because
right.
you said you were watching the game. I was going to say Swift. I was like, no, I don't think he got to 15
And then there's
carries.
one more?
Yeah, also on Thursday.
They were all
What?
Thursday?
Yeah, they were all Thursday.
Was it Zeke?
Zeke?
No,
Tony Pollard?
no,
It wasn't Jacobs, was it?
no.
Breida. It wasn't Breida.
Close.
It was Singletary?
Yeah,
Singletary got
Singletary.
15 carries?
Over 15 carries. He
Wow.
had 2.6 yards per carry.
Damn.
Jesus.
All right, this one.
I mean, none of those guys are good. So, well,
Yeah.
except for I like Montgomery, but that was definitely a bad game from him.
Yeah. Okay, this is kind of insane that this happened. But there was 3 players this week who had a 70% or higher air yards share for their team. 70% or higher. Also, by the way, since week 6, this has only happened one other time. Like with one player getting it. There was 3 this week.
Air yard share. Who am I thinking of?
Brandon Cooks?
Valdez Scantling?
Nope. This is a hard one. If anybody knows this, I'd be surprised.
Chester Rogers?
Nope.
Claypool?
Nope.
I got to think about guys who are on the outside. Deep targets. Am I going to do you think I could possibly get any of these?
One of them, probably. One of them, definitely not.
Nico Collins?
No.
Oh, the guy from the Colts?
No.
Doolin?
No. All right, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you the teams, which would pretty much give it away.
Okay.
Detroit, Cincinnati, and Miami.
Was T. Higgins one of them?
T. Higgins.
Detroit.
Yeah. Think
if
of while
I
we were
know.
dying.
Who had that big? Oh, there was a big play.
Yep.
From the Lions. Who caught that?
New player to the
Oh,
team.
was it somebody new? Oh, Josh Reynolds.
Yes.
Josh
Reynolds.
And who'd you say the other team was? The Bengals, and then who?
Dolphins.
Was it Waddle?
Yeah, Jalen Waddle.
Really, Waddle had 70% of their air
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Insane. All right, this one's a lot easier. It's 3 players with the most rushing yards this week.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yep.
Was it Dalvin Cook?
No.
No.
He had
Joe
100.
Mixon.
Yep. And this one's the hard one. This is why I included it. Because of this one.
Oh, T-Mac talked about him. Was it?
Oh, Hilliard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hilliard. He did that. He had that one long run that
Yeah.
pretty much got it for him.
I said to Avery, did you know that there was another person with 100+ rushing yards on that team?
Yeah. 2 guys, Hilliard
Foreman
and
had,
Foreman.
had over 100. Crazy. Okay, continuing. That was fantasy, so we'll include that as fantasy.
Yep.
Debo Samuel, we'll cover some injuries here. Debo Samuel with a groin injury. We just mentioned it off the top. I do think that there's a chance that he misses some time. I'm pretty sure he's dealt with I'm almost positive he's dealt with a groin injury previously in his career. It could be hamstring because I just mixed the two of those up. They're basically the
Legs.
same to me.
They're on your
Just
legs,
yeah. What do you guys think of the impact on Ayuk, Kittle, and Mitchell if he misses time? Mitchell had 5 targets this past week too.
Yeah, actually getting involved. I like it for all of them, honestly. Like Debo just takes up so much of that offense. You can Kittle are going to get more involved in the passing game, and means Mitchell's going to get even more of the carries because Debo started to take some of those.
Yeah.
So I like
Which
it for
could
all of
mean
them
what,
involved.
32 carries?
Yeah, even more.
I love it. Oh my God. I think he had 27 this week.
It's so many.
God.
I can't
Kyle
disagree with
Shanahan.
anything said there. It seems only positive for
Yeah.
all of
Yeah,
them.
all those guys, I think so. I don't know what Kittle's final stat line was this week. I'm not
I
sure
don't
if it
think
was
he
very
did
good.
much. I think he only had 1 catch.
Yeah, crazy that they scored that many points and he didn't do too
I
much.
mean, they talked about how good he was in the blocking game kind of all game.
Guy's a dog.
Yeah.
Did Ayuk come close to 100 yards, right? Did he have
Yeah,
98?
I think he had something in the 90s at
Yeah,
least.
another good game. I don't think he had that many catches, though.
We're going to do the same thing next year with Ayuk. 6th
Word.
round.
Oh, well,
Bring
I
it
want
back
to.
up.
We'll touch on that. I have that right at the bottom. You see on the screen of some of our, how we're going to reevaluate in the
Yeah.
offseason. Dalvin Cook shoulder injury, carted off.
Interesting.
There's an MRI coming. I bet you when this drops, we'll probably already know what it is, which will be unfortunate. But let's just talk about how this impacts the Vikings. I'm not sure what their schedule is remaining, but of course, Madison, if you've been hanging on to him,
Must start.
great stuff there. That's good for you.
Also, can we talk about Keenan Wangwu. I don't know if I said his name right, but the other running back on Minnesota, he could even end up taking some of these carries. He's looked really good.
CJ Ham was getting, I saw a couple receptions for him too.
Tone setter.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know how many touches did that guy get.
I think he only had 2, but it was like 9 and 7 yards each of them.
Nice. Okay.
But he also has now returned 2 kickoffs for touchdown. So he's impressed the team. So they might give him a
maybe some outside
OwnersBox lineups.
Yeah, some Debo type runs.
Yeah.
Could be what we see. I will say with some caution is that Dalvin Cook has had a okay year, I would say. To his standards, definitely not a good one. So this is definitely a downgrade in terms of the player to the team.
Madison's been good in pretty much every game that he started, right? Where he's been the lead back.
I thought I was about to say that I don't think that's the case because I think when he's been the leader, he hasn't been as efficient. He has also surprised he has been getting touches.
Yeah,
with Cook
I was going to say they've actually kind of gone more to a split backfield with this season. So that might be part of why Cook's not having a great year.
Yeah, so again, just a bit of caution of that. I don't expect Madison to be Dalvin Cook while Cook is out, but I do think that, of course, very, very good startable option now moving forward if Cook is out for a little bit. McCaffrey, fuck that guy, man. Fuck that guy.
Always injured.
Dynasty, right? You have him?
Yeah, out with an ankle injury. He was in a boot at the end of the game, so I mean that's not a good sign moving forward. They're going to have what 5 games left? I mean, how many? If we talk about the fantasy season, who knows what McCaffrey has left? I was in a couple leagues where I saw people were ditching Chuba Hubbard, which was surprising. I think he just steps back into his role because he's even been getting a role with when McCaffrey was playing.
Yeah.
They've also been using Abdullah, right?
Yeah, it was pretty split, I think, between Abdullah and Hubbard.
And Hubbard. I do think Hubbard's definitely the guy to have. But again, if Cam Newton's playing quarterback, which I guess we don't actually know. I mean, Darnold could get the position back if he's healthy. It will, of course, impact how the upside for Chuba in terms of getting in the end zone inside the red zone.
I'm curious, where are you going to be drafting Christian McCaffrey next year? In redraft.
I mean, 4.
I honestly think he'll still end up going in the first 2-3 picks because there's
Taylor.
Of course Henry and there's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
that's where he's going to be. I mean,
his
it's
upside
so hard
is just so high.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be people who draft him over those guys for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to evaluate him just because he's always injured, even more so than Cook. Like I remember Cook was always known as the injured guy, but even McCaffrey's worse now.
Yeah, it's been bad. It's been bad for years, especially when you just see what he does when he's on the field, no matter who's at quarterback. Next one, again, we're just only covering the running back position today, would be Miles Sanders, ankle injury. I tried to figure out it could be the same ankle injury he had when he was on IR, so this could be really bad for his just his future in terms of for the rest of the season. If he goes on IR again, can a player? Yeah, he's done. If you go on the IR twice, you're done. So something to monitor this week, big time. Jordan Howard didn't practice at all last week. He has a knee injury. They said it was a sprained knee. So if he didn't practice at all last week, I'd be worried about him playing this week. So that means Boston Scott could have this backfield pretty well to himself because Kenny Gainwell didn't have any rushing attempts. I think he had his first reception in the final 2 minutes there.
That's the first time I saw him on the field.
So Scott is definitely someone you want to make sure is rostered in all your leagues this week. That is for sure.
Yeah,
definitely a good waiver wire pickup. Because, like I said, the Eagles' success is on the ground. I hope Nick Sirianni learns that from this past week and the mistakes they made. So Scott, to me, seems like the guy.
I saw a stat that they had I think it was 4 games in a row of over 175 rushing yards without having a 100-yard rusher.
Really? Yeah, they just mix everybody in. Oh. It's funny because I think about all the previous years. It's like, yes, we've got, whether it's Miles Sanders or maybe when they acquired, who's the Dolphins running back? Jay Ajayi. You think about these guys they've brought in, Miles Sanders. It always seems to come back to either Boston Scott or Darren Sproles.
Yeah. I like that shit.
Okay, 2 or 3 more things fantasy-wise. I want to take some of the guys we missed on big time this year and what we are kind of learning and how we're going to change the way we evaluate some of these types of players in the offseason. Cordero Patterson, Leonard Fournette, Deebo Samuel, and then, death taxes and Adam Thielen scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
Touchdown rate. There's no regression in Adam Thielen touchdown rates.
He's had 10 so far this year in 11 games. It's even gone up. He's scoring more touchdowns.
Yeah. I want to, the Patterson one I think is very hard because I think if you think of guys like, let's say like Joe Mixon, who we don't really believe in the talent, but we know the opportunity is clearly there for him. They let him have the backfield. When you think about Cordarrelle Patterson, you know, he's always been a guy that can play both positions. We saw it in with the Bears, but you just kind of thought in Atlanta, you know, Mike Davis, familiar, you know, guy in the position that had a decent year with the Panthers last year, but his efficiency was horrible. And we kind of just thought that was going to be his backfield, and Patterson didn't get a lot of consideration. So how does that kind of change as we move into next year with players of his kind of ilk?
I think obviously a big part of his success is his involvement in the receiving game.
Yep.
And a big part of that is because Calvin Ridley just hasn't played this year.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely plays a role. But even when Calvin Ridley was in the lineup, he was still playing really well.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense that some 30-year-old running back wide receiver hybrid is all of a sudden having by far the best year of his career on a shitty team.
Yeah. I mean, he is basically, this is like what we got from James Robinson last year, of a player that's on a bad team that took the fantasy football world by storm with his play, and you almost didn't believe it for way too long, right? And now it's like, okay, this is the guy that he is, at least the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think it's like you have to fucking avoid him next year. Like that's not.
I think
at
even
his
next
draft
year
capital.
I don't think next year he's even going to have that high of draft
I mean,
capital.
what do you think he's going to be?
Like
Fifth,
it really depends on what
fourth?
the Falcons do in the offseason.
I mean, if they draft a running back in the second round, and he's going like sixth round in drafts, I'd probably.
If he goes in, like, let's say the territory that Mike Davis went last year, do you think he goes better than that?
Yeah.
Let's assume.
So difficult.
Let's assume this, because I
Does he
think
even
the
have
Falcons
a contract for next year?
probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe he got a 2-year deal. We'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
Let's say the Falcons, the draft capital they spend, maybe it's on a quarterback, but that quarterback definitely won't be playing next year. I don't think there's really any quarterback that I would trust to play in year one from this draft class. So let's say it's Matt Ryan back. Let's say Calvin Ridley figures things out from his mental health standpoint. We have Ridley, we have Pitts, but Patterson's back in the backfield. What do we think? What do you do with him?
I don't think I'd go higher than a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
I might consider him around there just to diversify.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the
it's tough.
zero RB guys are going to love him probably.
Yeah.
Yep. Because again, if this team is kind of similar to last year, where they're not really that good and nobody's really competing with it, because anyone who's taken that backfield not named Cordarrelle Patterson has been horrible. Quadri Olison, terrible. Mike Davis, terrible. We thought Wayne Gallman was going to come in when Patterson was out. It didn't even happen. He wasn't very good. So, I mean, this could just repeat itself. What about the Fournette side of things? I mean, I did not see – I think I want to – in terms of my reevaluation on a guy like him is just taking a team that we know is going to be very good and forgetting that there can be value in a team that's in a lot of positive game scripts from the running back position. That's what I missed here with Leonard Fournette, because I did think that he was the best player in the backfield going into the season. I definitely thought that. I didn't think Ronald Jones was any good, but I still don't have a single share of Leonard Fournette this season.
Yeah, me neither. And I think the big thing I was fading him for was they just have so many players on this team. Mm-hmm. And even in the running back room, like we knew Bernard was going to come in on passing downs. I thought Rojo would take more of a split. It'd be kind of more like what we see with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson right now. But Fournette has completely taken over that backfield. He's getting receiving work. And they have more than enough targets for him to go around and carries for him to go around despite how many players they have on this team. So I was surprised by that and definitely very wrong on Fournette.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We did think he was the most talented there, but you never know. If you have 3 guys who are decently talented, why wouldn't you kind of like split it up between them? And it just hasn't been split.
Yeah,
I think Rojo week 1, he was shit, right? And then Doghouse right away.
Yep.
Kind of Fournette.
He fumbled, I think.
Yeah.
They both remember Fournette had that pass to him. That was the Cowboys game week 1 that he fumbled with, and then it was intercepted. That I also think of in that game. But I just think that Fournette is. I don't want to overreact to what Fournette has done this year and kind of just assume that he can do it over again. I'll take Fournette instead of talking about Debo. We'll talk about last, but I'll talk about Thielen, because I thought I don't want to make the mistake here with Fournette that I made with Thielen, thinking that the year he had was an aberration and that, he can't continue this the following season, because I thought that about Thielen. It is just going to continue. He's just continuing to score, and maybe Fournette does that again next year with the Bucs. But at the same time, I kind of like to go with what, is normal average expectation, especially for a guy like Thielen who's just getting older. But I mean, it hasn't changed. Even Justin Jefferson has had an even better season this year, or not even better touchdown-wise this year than last year. But Thielen is still scoring.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins is having a great year too, so that definitely helps. He's over 30 passing touchdowns already, I think. I think I saw that.
The Cousins,
that he's doing that
Cousins
well.
is definitely a big part of that. I'm surprised he's continued with the season that he's having.
Oh, no, not 30. Okay, that would be ridiculous. It's
I was about to say.
23
on pace.
23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So very good season for Kirk Cousins. Low-key MVP candidate.
Very low.
Very low.
Yeah, keep that one to yourself.
Taking the snap from the left guard might not be beneficial to your MVP campaign.
It was a trick play. Come on.
That was fucking awesome.
That's why he's not a true franchise quarterback, is mistakes like that.
But yeah, Thielen, great season again. It's like the same as last year with like the yards aren't always there. He's had plenty of games under 70 receiving yards.
Right.
Most of his, I think he's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 games on the season over 65 receiving yards. So it's not like he's getting a shit ton of passes thrown to him. He's just getting them in the red zone, which is what matters. And hey, he's getting fantasy points.
Now, what about the Debo one? What are we going to take away, not just for the 49ers, but just in general, in terms of our evaluation of players? Like, can we learn anything from this, what happened with Debo Samuel? Because it's hard, because I also have to be like, why the fuck did I think Trey Sermon was going to start running back for this team too? Because it's Elijah Mitchell. Do we just take it as never believe anything that comes out of Kyle Shanahan's mouth or from camp at that team? Because I don't think anyone had this figured out. 49ers beat writers didn't have this figured out. I don't know how this happened.
I don't know. This 49ers offense was just nothing at all like I thought it would be. I think most people got this at least something with this 49ers team wrong, whether it's Debo, Ayuk, Mitchell, Sermon, something. So it's tough to evaluate what to do moving forward with this team. But I think looking at Debo, he's probably going to be a second-round pick in fantasy drafts next year.
And I think I would take him there.
And I would definitely take him there, considering how good he's looked.
Yeah, Shanahan has a love for him.
It's not a one-year wonder type thing, it looks like.
No, just get your best players the ball, and they'll do the rest, and that's what they've done. Why should we think we know more than Kyle Shanahan about his team?
Yeah.
He's shown us that he gets Debo the ball all the time, so we should take it as well.
Yeah, agreed. I think that he likes to get him the ball. It's not like it's just this year that he's tried to get him the ball a lot. Yeah. It's been previous years. Okay, we're going long here, so let's run through a couple more things. How are you evaluating the Titans running back situation? They had 39 rushing attempts in a loss this week, 13 total touches for Hilliard, 20 for Foreman. What do you think in terms of fantasy value, and what player would you rather have?
Foreman.
I think I'd rather have Hilliard because he's the guy involved in the passing game, right?
Yep.
What were his receptions like?
1 each.
Oh, 1 each?
Yeah. But again, Hilliard had 10 the week prior.
Yeah.
So they barely threw the ball. We talked about that. I think, what did they say? Tannehill had like 9 completions. So
yeah. I think it was 11 for 21.
Or 11 for 21, yeah.
So I don't know. This is a backfield again that, even though they both played well, I don't think I'm going to want to start either of them.
I'm in the same boat.
I would argue against that because like we said earlier, who's Tannehill going to be throwing the ball to? Why would they even be putting it in his hands? Now, do I think Hilliard and Foreman are really skilled players? But still.
I mean, you have to put your life on the line. Which one are you starting next week?
I would say Foreman.
Yeah, maybe Foreman, just because
I'm in the same boat.
Foreman is still the lead back, so that's what gets Foreman. And also, it's kind of a side note here, Foreman did tear his Achilles a few years back.
Yeah.
Great news for Cam Akers.
I mean, Foreman isn't good though. He hasn't. I really liked him.
Back.
I really liked him when he came out of college because he went to the Texans and Arian Foster was still there, and it was like the last year or two for Foster, and I was like, oh, maybe Foreman. I drafted him like at the end of my drafts, like maybe he could take over, and then he tore his Achilles in like the whatever it was. I don't even know if they played a week of the season, so I don't think Foreman's a very good player. But again, I think the Titans are going to rely on the run because of who they have in the pass catching game. And they know their identity is running the football. They know how to run the football. So, but that's that. Hopefully you got some information there. And then last thing before we preview Monday Night Football, coming off of a great game between the Rams and the Packers, I want to talk about Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham. So who would you rather have rest of season? Let's go through the stat line from this past week. Odell, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. He ran 40 routes in this game. 88% of those routes were out wide. So he's the guy on the outside opposite Cooper Kupp or Van Jefferson. Van and Kupp have been back and forth between the slot and outside. Jefferson, 8 targets, 3 receptions. Both these guys, not very efficient in the targets that they were receiving. 93 yards, 1 touchdown on 41 routes. So pretty much the same amount of routes run. Jefferson, difference here is he's running 64% of those routes from the slot. So who would you rather have the rest of the season?
I go Beckham.
I was going to say OBJ too.
Just because the Rams had to have told Beckham that he's going to be playing at a very high rate. They're going to get him the ball. That's the reason he went to the Rams. Like, he had options, and that's what he wants. He wants a team that's going to throw him the ball.
I mean, Jefferson hit on one long touchdown too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So. I just think Beckham's going to be more involved. They're going to throw the ball to him more.
Do you really think that they told him that, though, when Robert Woods was out there not with a torn ACL? They said, Odell, we're going to make sure we get you the ball. You're going to be an important option to us.
Yeah, because that's what Odell cares about.
I know, but I mean, they could have said that to him and been completely lying, because I don't think they would have done that if Woods was healthy.
Yeah.
Because I think Van's still a really good player.
Oh, yeah. I love Van Jefferson. I think he's especially in Dynasty, like, he's an asset I'm looking to target right now. But Beckham, they're going to give Beckham the ball more than Van Jefferson for sure. I think I'd be very shocked if Jefferson finishes the season with more receptions from here on out than Beckham the rest of the way.
So these guys finished with similar point totals on the week. So let's just say from this past week to the end of the year, is there going to be a sizable difference in their finishes in fantasy?
I don't think so.
Or is it going to be pretty similar?
Probably pretty similar, I think.
Yeah.
But I still would pick Beckham.
Yeah, I'm very glad that I was, I hate to do it because it was Woods getting hurt for this opportunity, but I talked about Van quite a bit this year as a waiver guy, and I'm really happy that I have him on a lot of my teams, because I think in the Rams offense, he's got some good value in terms of your flex spots for the wide receiver role. Okay, Monday Night Football. Seahawks -1 against the football team. Over-unders 47.5 in this game. I do not know what to do because, the Seahawks love to run the ball, and Washington's really good against the run. So here's your chance, Russ. Here's your chance to put up some numbers, make everybody think that everything these past few weeks is just overreaction. What do you guys think is the outcome in this game?
Football team.
I'm going football team as well.
Oh, no. No. Danny, what do you think? You don't have a mic, but...
I mean, it's my team. But
I know. Yeah, true. Is everybody thinking football team? Do I have to take the
Does that mean you have
Seahawks,
to
even
take
though
the
I've been
Seahawks?
talking shit about Russ for a couple weeks now?
I just don't think Russ is fully healed yet, and it's going to
Oh,
continue.
my God. It's been like how many weeks from his fucking finger injury, Jared? It's been what? 8 weeks?
17
That's
hours
what
of
it was.
rehab,
That's what it was
though.
supposed to be. It was supposed to be a 6 to 8 week timeline.
Okay, well, you know what? Now he's healthy.
Is he?
Now he should be healthy. He had the miracle of God helping him heal from that injury, so he should be ready to play. I guess I'm taking
Just
Seahawks.
glad to be out there.
I guess I'm taking Seahawks. And you know what? This works out great, because if Russ plays well, he won me some money. If Russ doesn't play well, then I can tell everybody about how shit he was, because I had my money on him and he
But if
lost
he plays
me money.
well, but they still lose.
I don't even have a lean on this total. I think I would actually.
I think it's down to
under.
47 now. When I said 47.5, I think before we recorded, I saw 47.
I think probably a lot of money's on that under.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an over.
50-50.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Usually when you see something that's 50-50 split, it means people are liking the under, because just naturally everybody wants to take overs, right? All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the game, because I think, if the football team win again, then aren't they just a game below 500? I'm pretty sure
I think so, yeah.
They're
So,
back.
the Seahawks season is
Gibson
over.
then.
So,
Big Antonio Gibson night?
you think so?
I hope not.
If I'm looking at props, what do I want to do? I'm gonna definitely be betting a prop in this game. Maybe it'll be
Do you know any
Russ.
of the lines?
Logan
No, I
Thomas
don't.
first touchdown scorer.
Oh,
First touchdown score?
maybe a Taylor Heineke first touchdown score.
Russians
Like that
one in?
Yeah, that's the kind of shit I like to do on primetime games, is taking one of the quarterbacks to score. It's a huge payout. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoy. Drop a like on the video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.